Gender roles. We're going to be discussing gender roles, the importance of gender roles. The main benefits of gender roles is very simple. It's to remove the ambiguity in the relationship. Everybody understands their duties. Everybody understands the virtues that are associated with those duties. It also call it, or there's a synergistic, let's say, relationship with the idea of emotional bank account, right? This idea that every interaction that you have with the person you're with either adds to the emotional bank account or takes away from the emotional bank account. Emotional bank account, imagine it as a reservoir of good faith and goodwill towards you, right? When you've been friends with someone for a long time, for example, you have a great friendship, the kind of jokes that you can throw at each other, the sort of insults that you can say to one another, and it's taken lightly without any sort of like hard feelings. They are crazy. But when you're meeting somebody for the first time, you walk a little bit more on glass. Why is that, right? Because you've not established that what we call trust. But it's just a series of evidence to show the other individual that you mean well, that you're not there to take advantage of them, that you've decided to be in their life as a value. In relationship, that's even more important, because unlike friendships, people who you primarily meet them for probably good times, you don't spend as much time as you spend with your spouse. The topics in which you discuss and the problems you have to solve together are not as intense. The raw emotional attachment between you and your friend is not the same as you and your wife or your husband. The idea of emotional bank account becomes more serious, becomes something that you must pay more close attention to, and you must do everything you can to make sure that you create a system in your relationship that adds more to the emotional bank account and reduces the risk of, whether you do it willingly or unwillingly, remove from the emotional bank account. That's extremely important. The consequences of an empty emotional bank account usually ends up in an explosion. A lot of times you do not know, especially if things are ambiguous, especially if your role as a man is not clear, then the role of the woman is not clear. People build up these, like, the worst thing for a relationship are these resentments, the things you don't talk about, the emotions that you just kind of sort of keep inside to try to make the relationship work. You don't want to be in that kind of relationship. It's not needed. When things are clear, when somebody is not doing what they're supposed to do, something that you agreed from the get-go, you can have that conversation. You can hold them accountable, and it doesn't seem unfair. It doesn't seem like you're being bullied, or because you can even look at the other individual and say, well, are they doing what they're doing? And you can look at yourself and say, well, this is where my job is. This is what I need to do every single day. For example, like in my relationship, I'm the protector and the provider, which means my wife expects me, whether I feel good, whether I'm sick, whether I don't want it, or whether I want it, to always lead her and to always protect her and to always provide for her. And on her side, she's a submissive woman. I expect her to be submissive. I expect her to always be respectful, right? I expect her to always follow my lead. And this is whether she's feeling good about it, whether she's not feeling good about it, whether she's angry. I expect her to still be respectful to me. And these words like respect, for example, we're going to go deeper into them, but you have to drill down all the way to day-to-day interactions. For example, I talk to my wife about the idea of respect, her tone of voice with me. I can do the worst thing to her. If she still expects to be my wife at the end of that interactions between me and her, she has to still come to me with the right tone. The idea that a woman is gonna raise her voice at me as if we're about to fight. Someone who's weaker than me, someone who, if I hit, everybody's gonna be like, oh, she's a woman. Like, you're not gonna be a badass. That's not your position. I'm not asking to be a badass. I did not marry a badass. If I wanted to be if I wanted, a badass, I'll be a gay guy. I will not go with a female. Okay, that is not your position. Your position is softness. Now she can come to me and explain exactly what's wrong, and we'll have a calm discussion about what is going on. I'll try my best to empathize and understand where she's coming from, and we'll come up with a solution. But this idea of coming up with to me, while asking me to be your leader, your protector, and your provider, is not happening. So that will be what we'll consider to be a gender role. That will be something we'll consider to be her duty. And the more she's able to be respectful and watch her tone of voice and the way she talks to me, that becomes her virtue, right? But she also expects the same things from me. For example, I remember there was this like small little decision, and I remember I told her like, hey, just choose what you want. And I remember how she was in a really cute way upset at me, because like she was like, no, you are my leader. Like, I want you to choose for me. My mind is shut off. Those stresses, and it was a very small decision. But she was like, nope. Like, that is a position I'm giving you. That is what I expect from you. Please just do your thing. And I had to catch myself and be like, okay, well, that is my role. I live in the West. Sometimes the propaganda does seep into your thought process, even if you're trying your best against it. And my idea was kind of like, let me give her a choice. Make all these big decisions, the small ones she'll feel good about it. But she was like, no, that is not my role. I don't want none of that. My role is here and here. Don't give me none of that. And she has no empathy or sympathy for me, in the department of providing and protecting. And I'm not asking her to, because I don't have empathy or sympathy for her in the department of being a follower and submissive woman. But we've been together for 7 years, and it has worked tremendously. And when I say truly we are happy, that is a state that we were not chasing in the beginning, by the way. We focus primarily on the principles first. There's something my brother likes to say a lot, right? He says, choose your pain. Choose your pain. And we chose our pain that in the beginning, we are going to work hard on the things that are important, so that we can then sow the fruits of that in the long term later. So we focus on the principles. Like, I will send her audios. She will write the principles down. Like, to this day, she has a big folder of everything we talked about. She'll write them down. We'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. She'll give me ideas about, okay, what do you think about this? What if I do this? And we came up with this like really amazing system where we both like are well invested into it. We have a great understanding of it. And the beautiful part about it is like the relationship that was born out of it. All her friends were coming up to her and asking, hey, like, how are you guys living like this? Like, I look at you like, you're so happy. You're so in love with this man. Like, what is going on? Like, I want that too. You guys are so lucky. And my girl will always come to me and laughing and be like, lucky. They have no idea the work that I put into this. And when they would ask her for advice, and she would start to kind of go on these principles we put in place, you can see like the joy in like in their face kind of dying, because people expect this Disney fairy tale of just finding these individuals that was created for you, and you come in with all this baggage and bad habits and inconsistencies. You have no fucking virtue. You have nothing to offer, but this person offers everything that you need, and they're just gonna love all your nastiness and your stupidity. It's like, no, that's not happening. That's a human being just like you. They were born. They have a parent. They have a mom and a child and a father, right? They were a child at one point. They are looking for their own self-interest. They were not created for you. You're not the center of their universe. right? They're as selfish as you are. So when you're coming into a relationship, the first thing you have to do is acknowledge the human factor, the human nature. But then you have to also, in that acknowledge the human nature, we have the capacity to change, right? We have the capacity to learn. We are self-aware, to improve ourselves. That's also part of the human condition. So it is only logical then to put set of boundaries and principles in place that lead us to the outcomes that we actually deem to be amazing. Look, if you enter into a relationship with no clue at the basic level of the expectations between you two, you've not sat down and have that conversation from the get-go. And by the way, I recommend for every man, have your principles, start to talk about those principles in the beginning. Don't sell dreams, right? Because if you sell a woman a dream, she's gonna give you a nightmare. That's just the end of that, right? You want to be able to set the standards from the beginning. Like I've come to realize, like, women are actually like really good people, really understanding. When as a man you come in confident and understanding where you want to go and what you will not tolerate. Women only really start to act up with guys who have no sense of direction. They have no clue, and you're selling this woman a dream and an idea of who you are for her to like you, and then things change later on. I think women have a lot of problem with that. I have to give them credit when it comes to that. Any woman, for example, in your life that looks at the principles and says no, she's helped you. You've just dodged a really big conflict in the future, because it was going to end up bad anyway. Because look, if you have expectations of someone, but you choose not to express those expectations, those expectations don't just leave your mind, right? What happens is just you become a pussy and you don't say anything about it, and you start to build this resentment deep down inside. And even though you're smiling, you're sleeping together, you start to use sex and dates as a way to sort of like cover up the mess that is your relationship. But when you lay your relationship bare and you're willing to expose the dirtiness of it, but you say we're exposing it so we can clean it. We are putting principles in so that we can have a great foundation. What tends to come out of that is this really clean, nice cut, beautiful relationship that then starts to have its own life. It's like it starts to touch a part of your life you didn't even know relationships were capable of. It starts to become like a healing factor in your life. It becomes something that is extremely meaningful for both of you. That which is easily attained, we lightly esteem, right? Anything that can just be acquired very easily has no value, essentially. So pick your pain, as my brother likes to say.